Back when I was a boy, I want to say this happened when I was, I think, about 12 years old, maybe 13. I was on a 5 mile hike with the Boy Scouts. I was raised in the Boy Scouts. I loved everything about them. Back in those days, we camped, we hiked, we earned merit badges. I don't know how the Scouts are now, but literally the Boy Scouts was a really big part of my life. We were on a 5 mile hike every Friday night. My patrol in the troop was called the Bat Patrol. And because of us being bats and wanting to be cool and everything, we did a lot of activities at night. So our scoutmaster would take us every Friday night to the Saline River bottoms in southwest Arkansas. And when I say bottoms, that is my way of describing a wilderness area. The Saline River ran through this area, and it was in the middle of nowhere. There were no homes anywhere close at all. I know we would have to go down a one-lane blacktop road onto a gravel road onto a dirt road to even get where we were going to do our 5 mile hike. And the wilderness, the Saline River bottoms, is full of wildlife. Bobcats, bear, panthers. I know some of you nod your head and are kind of react about, there's no panthers around. Oh yeah, there's panther around. But anyway, it was a great area because there were no lights. We thought it was cool to be doing this 5 mile hike and being kids, shooting the bull and having fun, just being out and being together. But we noticed this one particular night, as a matter of fact, I made the comment after we had been hiking just a couple minutes. I said, there's no noise. What's going on, Mr. Bearden? Mr. Bearden was our scoutmaster. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, we don't hear the animals, the noises, the crickets, the bullfrogs, the hoot owls. I mean, it was just totally quiet. No noise whatsoever. He said, you're right. He said, I don't know. He said something maybe scared him or whatever. Anyway, we continued walking. And for you who have not been in the middle of nowhere, where there is no man-made lighting, you can't imagine what the sky looks like. It's remarkable. So many stars, I'm using that term loosely, stars, planets, heavenly bodies, galaxies, whatever. The sky is just lit up everywhere when there's no lighting to interfere with it. This was one of those nights. It was crystal clear. It was fairly cold that night. We had gone a mile or so into the hike, and I don't know who noticed it, but we noticed up in the sky, about a quarter way up in the sky, we noticed these lights. The best way I can describe them would be street lights that are far enough away that they're not real bright, but you knew they weren't stars because they were bigger than the stars and everything else in the sky. And they were in a kind of almost a V-shaped line, but not quite a V-shaped line, like you would see when geese are flying in the sky with their V formation. But this one was turned kind of like this. There was no noise. They weren't moving, but they were pulsating very slow, and you could see subtle changes in the color from the white to almost a bluish, purpley type color to an orange, back to a white. And they weren't flashing, they weren't doing it rapidly. It was a slow thing. And they were not moving at all. And all of us just kind of stood there along with our scoutmaster, and nobody saying a word, but just kind of observing these things. And after 5 minutes or so, instantly, these things start taking off in different directions. And they didn't take off, but just kind of, bam, 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 and they were gone. We stood there, kind of not knowing what to say. But as soon as they disappeared, the creatures, the bullfrogs, the crickets, the birds, everything started making their normal night sounds that they always make. And our scoutmaster said, "Boys," he said, "let's just turn around and go in. Let's cut our hike short." He says, "I'm a little tired." I forgot what he said. I think now, I do remember that. I think from what he said, maybe he was trying to say something not to scare us or whatever. But we turned, we went, we got back in our vehicles and left. And of course, the span of a young boy's mind on what to talk about and everything, it changes really quick. So that was nothing after that was ever said about it. Well, fast forward to a couple years ago, another state. I'm now in Mississippi instead of Arkansas. I have a garden across the road from my house. I have solar lighting in it. The solar lighting is just bright enough to keep me from breaking my neck if I go over there at night. But I like to go in my garden. I have a bench and just reflect about things, give my mind a break, so to speak. Well, again, this was in the past, but just a couple years ago. I was out there, and I noticed again how quiet it was. And you who have seen a couple of videos that I've done while I'm out in the garden, you know that the background is just full of chatter from the birds and the little animals and things. But it was totally, there was no sound whatsoever. And I noticed my garden runs from north to south, and I noticed in the northern quadrant of the sky, I see these lights. And as soon as I saw them, just absolutely as soon as I saw them, my mind went back to when I was a Boy Scout on this 5-mile hike. The lights were pulsating, were changing colors. The only difference is we heard no noise on the hike, but I heard a very subdued hum, like the hum of an electric motor or a vibration type noise. But it was very subdued and very low. Again, there was no animals making any kind of noises whatsoever. The thing that was different about this, other than the slight hum of the noise, these lights started moving, but rather than going in all different directions at different times, it was just a slow almost a drift, if you will. And in a few minutes, they had disappeared off the southern horizon. And as soon as the lights disappeared, the creatures started making their noises again. The birds, the crickets, the bullfrogs, everything. And when the creatures started making their noises again, I just kind of got and I'm sure you guys have all been there where something has kind of been eerie or maybe somewhat frightening or whatever, and you feel this thing going up your back, and it's like you're having chill bumps up your back and your hair is tingling. Well, I got that same reaction. Now look, this is not a story that I'm trying to say, okay, we have aliens out there visiting all over our planet and everything like that. But if we are so naive to believe that out of all the millions and millions and millions and millions of solar systems throughout the universe, if we are as humans, the only creatures out there, I think that's a pretty naive feeling to have. If we're the most intelligent in the solar systems around, in all the various solar systems, God help us all. I mean, we can't even do a really good job managing this little planet we call Earth. But the thing is, this is the first time I've shared this story. After that happened at the garden a couple years ago, I didn't come back to my house and share it with my wife, share it with anybody. It's the first time I've told this story. But I found it very eerie, very weird that I would have two almost identical events to happen 50 plus years from each other in my life. I hope you enjoyed the story. It's true. When I tell you guys something on any of my little stories that I have to tell you or whatever, please understand all this stuff I'm telling you is true. I have no reason to lie about anything or to exaggerate to get listeners or whatever, or viewers, whatever the case may be. But again, thanks for watching, and sure would appreciate if you would subscribe and like each and every one of my videos. I'll keep harping on this every time I'm on, is the fact that if I ever start making any income whatsoever from what I'm doing, it's going to go directly to Children's of Mississippi. It's a cause near and dear to my heart. Thanks for watching, and peace.